Dear LAMI friends, first, how are you? We are dealing with an horrible phase of our life. Everything has been upset from the cyclone of the pandemic, and slowly we'll manage to reopen our mind to the hope for a less dark future that, in any case, will be full of dubs. I would like to transform at least some dubs in challenges, and it will be possible. To what extent we'll cooperate around the keyword solidarity? It means all together involving also the migration context, taking care to the most vulnerable people from all directions, so including the language learning and language testing perspective. Indeed, this is the LAMI mission since 2002, now more than even. The LAMI SIG represents the ALTE platform to allow that issues of test fairness and justice within the migration context were addressed in coherence with the ALTE missions of sustaining diversity in preserving plurilingualism and maximizing impact in preserving human rights. In the years, we were engaged in projects, works, researches, activities. I would like to invite you to the ALTE website resources in order to have a look to some of our outcomes. Just to remain in this decade, from the LAMI questionnaire in 2013 to the 18 LAMI posters of the following year, from our position paper, the second edition of the LAMI booklet published in 2016, to the first LAMI forum embedded within the International Conference in Bologna. Then we started the survey on language and knowledge of society policies for migrants that represented another milestone in the collaboration between ALTE and the Council of Europe. The results of this survey with the report is available in the ALTE website, together with the leaflets highlighting the main trends and recommendations that LAMI translated in 23 languages to better support the dissemination. And here we are. But of course, the aim of my speech is not to represent a final balance. On the contrary, the video aims to give an update about what we are doing, what we are planning as LAMI. And above all, it's a way to show that we are present. In other words, it's a sign of vitality, of our willing to looking forward despite and against the sad scenario around us. As all you know, the ALTE International Conference scheduled in Madrid was postponed, and also the second LAMI Forum will be next year, closing the event. Spain will reflect on mediation as a key duty for policymakers, language educators, language testers. Mediation is part of our daily life as cultural and social process in building bridges, constructing meanings, and creating space for communications. Mediation and beyond, of course, because in Madrid we will have the opportunity to share the results of what is already planned for the current year in terms of LAMI commitment. In fact, LAMI, as project group, aims on the one hand to provide outcomes developed mainly in collaboration with ALTE members, and on the other hand, aims to link these outcomes in the path of cooperating with supranational institutions like the Council of Europe. Before the lockdown, we had the last LAMI meeting in Munich, where we shared as next outcome a document aimed to promote the so-called profiled approach, sustaining what the CFR calls the recognition of partial competencies. Thus, modularity appears as key concept in assessment. And by consequence of this, LAMI members want to investigate the famous VRIP, validity, reliability, impact, and practicality of a modular approach in assessment within the migration context, allowing language testers to draw the jagged profile ALTE has already highlighted in the LAMI booklet. The need to make the profiled approach in practice is highly important when we take into account vulnerable users, like the ones represented by low-literate migrants. In this case, three challenges can be defined. First, a lack of general literacy itself in terms of technical literacy, as the ability to read and write in any language. Then, a lack of digital literacy. Very important, especially according to the increment of distance environments imposed by the coronavirus, but also because more and more tests require digital skills. And finally, a lack of test literacy, So the lack of experience with testing, familiarity with the test format, procedures, techniques. As we wrote in the LAMI booklet, policymakers need to provide training courses that strongly support the acquisition of literacy skills rather than imposing compulsory tests. In addition, the recommendations to policymakers will state that it's recommended that vulnerable groups, such as low literate persons, be exempt from language and knowledge society requirements. But unfortunately, the ALTE and Council of Europe survey reported quite the opposite, as most of the member states don't allow exemptions for this target group. As a result of this aim, Strasbourg is now working on a reference guide called LASLIAM, so Literacy and Second Language Learning for the Linguistic Integration of Adult Migrants. The guide intends mainly to provide a response to the growing demand for a reference to design courses, plan curricula, or produce teaching materials for formal and non-formal learning environments, as well as specifications for exams, according to a formative assessment perspective. In a broader view, LASLIAM can stimulate a growing debate on literacy issues, into the hope to implement in a bottom-up process the awareness of institutions appointed to education at the national level. The LASLIAM working group is engaged in describing the process represented by the diagram, through scales related to technical literacy, communicative language activities in terms of learning goals, and digital skills. It means that, and I would like to underline, the scales are not designed to serve as instrument for developing high-stake and large-scale exams. Of course, LASIAM scales need to be validated, and replying the schema already provided for the companion volume, the Education Department of the Council decided for a qualitative validation followed by a quantitative validation. For both procedures, the involvement of the LAMI group will be highly important. To validate LASLIAM, we need your help. More in details, the qualitative validation will assume the form of a one-day workshop in your country, in your working language, conducted by you as ALTE member. Council of Europe will give you the necessary training to carry out the workshop to a webinar. The format of the workshop provides the involvement of a group of around 20-30 LESLA teachers, where LESLA stands for Literacy and Second Language Learning for Adults. The aim is to present LASLIAM and to collect feedback related to the descriptors according to the 4 aspects already used for the validation of the companion volume, so clarity, assigning to levels, sorting to categories, and relevance, in the double meaning of real-world use and pedagogical relevance. At the beginning, the workshops were scheduled from August to October as face-to-face meetings. Now, due to the changed scenario, Strasbourg is thinking whether postponing from October to December, as well as whether to change the format from face-to-face to online. So please consider as postponed also the deadline the ALTE Secretariat gave you a couple of weeks ago a mail in order to express your interest in organizing a workshop from end of May to end of August, and please consider in taking decisions also the possibility as alternative to provide the workshop online. When it comes to the quantitative validation, however, the deadline given by ALTE is confirmed in the end of October. In this case, the participation implies replying to an online survey related again to the LASLIAM descriptors, by using the same 3 categories considered for the companion volume, assigned to levels, comments, and suggestions of reformulation. The survey is scheduled the first 2 months of the next year. More information will be provided during the summer. In both the cases, workshop and survey, if you are interested in to give a contribution, please write to the LAMI chair or co-chair email address. So, writing to the email of the voice with the bad English pronouns you are listening to in the last 10 minutes, Lorenzo, the chair of a group I have the honor to coordinate since 2008, and the new co-chair, colleague, but first a dear friend, Cecily. It should be clear enough who is who in the picture. In giving a special welcome to Cecily, I can't miss to warmly thank the previous co-chair, Jen Lloyd, for her intensive and constant work in supporting LAMI during the last years that I have really appreciated. In approaching my conclusions, I would like to make a reminder that sounds more as a wish. The reminder is referred to the next LAMI meeting with a wishing it will be confirmed for this year, the day before my birthday, in the amazing frame of Istanbul. In Turkey, we can share news from Lazliam, but above all, we can plan more in details new expected LAMI outcome. So the document to promote the profiled approach in terms of index, contents, and yes, why not, tasks division and related deadlines. Mainly, in Istanbul, we'll have the chance to see each other again after a too long forced period, because one thing is the online, another, of course, is field the group in presence. Well, I decided to insert a slide I prepared in 2012 for my first plenary within an ALTE conference. We were in Barcelona and I thought about LAMI as a drop in the ocean. But drop by drop, we can do something. And sustained by this strong conviction, I interpreted or reinterpreted the LAMI acronym in a quite different way. LAMI as meetings for lucky people, because we love our fantastic work, but also maybe ambitious people, because we have the ambition to believe that our contribution can change something, and for these, if you prefer, idealistic people.
So, dear LAMI people, according to the reinterpretation of the acronym, after my picture 3 slides ago, I will end with a video that my wife is recording now. Today is the 2nd of May and we are in our 67 days of lockdown. And my message, my final message is very simple and short. First, thanks. Thanks for what you have already done and for what you will do. And then please think green, see green all around you, as I'm doing now. Because green is the color of the hope. Take care.